Let's not sugarcoat it. If you've got a boat on the market right now, you're probably sitting on a floating financial disaster. The gold rush is over, and what's left behind is a dock full of regrets, broken dreams, and for sale signs sun-bleached from waiting too damn long. Remember when people were throwing stupid money at any hull that floated during the pandemic? Yeah, those days are gone, and now reality's come back like a tidal wave. Marina fees are brutal, insurance is a joke, and maintenance? Let's just say more than a few folks are learning what "break out another 1,000" really means. This isn't just a downturn, it's a full-on reckoning. So if you're still clinging to that fantasy of selling high, it might be time to wake up. Let's talk about why boats are basically worthless now, and how the dream turned into a slow-motion shipwreck. I remember it like yesterday, those first few months of the pandemic when everyone was scrambling for a sense of escape. The borders were closed, planes were grounded, and suddenly, boats were the ultimate freedom ticket. People who'd never stepped foot on a sailboat were buying them sight unseen. Boat dealers were high-fiving behind closed doors, and Craigslist listings vanished in hours. If it floated, it sold. Didn't matter if it was a rotting project or a shiny new catamaran, it was gone. It was the gold rush, pandemic edition. But here's the thing about every gold rush, it ends. Fast forward to 2025, and the docks look very different. The marinas are full, but not with excited new owners. They're full of boats that nobody wants. Half-finished dreams with faded "for sale" signs hanging off the rails. You talk to brokers now and they'll tell you flat out, the phones aren't ringing like they used to. The buyers? They've disappeared. What we've got now is a full-blown buyer ghost town. And it's not just that people lost interest, it's the costs. The reality of boat ownership hit like a slap to the face. The same folks who bought boats thinking they'd be sailing into the sunset are now stuck paying slip fees, yard bills, and insurance premiums that feel more like penalties. And let's not forget the maintenance. If you've ever owned a boat, you know the list never ends. There's always something leaking, cracking, corroding, or failing. So now we've got a flooded market. Thousands of boats listed, most of them overpriced because owners are still chasing the high of pandemic pricing. But buyers? They're cautious now. They know better. They've read the forums, watched the disaster stories, seen what it costs to keep a boat running. And they're not jumping in unless the deal is seriously good, or they're seriously skilled. The hardest part is watching good boats just sit. Beautiful hulls, quality gear, all just aging under the sun while the owners wait for a miracle offer. It's painful. You can feel the regret hanging in the air at every boatyard. People who thought they were buying freedom now just want out, but getting out is harder than getting in. The gold rush is over, and what's left is the hangover. The wild optimism has drained away. What we're looking at now is a slow correction, maybe even a collapse in some segments. But either way, the fantasy's over. If you're holding a boat you bought in the boom, it might be time to stop dreaming of a profit and start thinking about cutting your losses. Let's cut right to it. Owning a boat in 2025 is not a lifestyle move for the average person. It's a financial minefield. Doesn't matter if it's a weekend cruiser or a blue water dream machine. The numbers just don't add up anymore. What used to be a realistic hobby for the working class has turned into a luxury expense that can quietly bleed you dry. The first trap, thinking the boat itself is the biggest cost. It's not. That's just the down payment on a never-ending stream of expenses. Marina fees have gone through the roof. Good luck finding a slip in a decent spot for less than $5 or $6 grand a year, and that's for a small boat. Bigger boats? Double it, triple it if you're in a high-demand area. Insurance is another killer. Companies are tightening up, especially on older boats, and the premiums are climbing. Add in required surveys, inspections, deductibles, and suddenly you're spending thousands just to keep your coverage. That's if they don't drop you after the first claim. Then there's maintenance. People love to say, a boat is a hole in the water you throw money into. It's not a joke. It's real. Hoses, pumps, electronics, rigging, paint. It never ends. You fix one thing, and two more break. And it's all marine rated, which means everything costs double what it should. Haul-outs? You'll need one, and it'll cost you. Need new bottom paint? That's another few thousand. Need the engine looked at? If you're not doing the work yourself, you're staring down labor bills that would make a car mechanic blush. And parts? Good luck. Supply chains are still a mess, and everything takes forever to ship, if you can find it at all. And let's not forget depreciation. Boats don't hold value. They drop like rocks. Especially now, when the used market is flooded with boats from the pandemic boom. Sellers are desperate, buyers are scarce, and if you think you'll break even when it's time to sell, don't hold your breath. What it all adds up to is a brutal financial reality. You're not just buying a boat, You're buying into a lifestyle that demands money, time, and constant effort. If you're not ready to commit all three, you're going to regret it. Look, I love boats, I love the ocean, but I also love not being broke. If you're thinking about buying in this economy, you need to be brutally honest with yourself. Can you afford the full picture, not just the pretty Instagram version? Because if not, you're better off chartering, crewing, or going small. Owning a boat today isn't just expensive, it's a financial disaster waiting to happen. If you've tried to sell a boat recently, you already know the deal. No one's buying. Doesn't matter how clean your deck is or how new your sails are, the inbox stays empty, the phone doesn't ring, and that listing you paid good money to post is just floating around the internet like your dreams of breaking even. The market right now is saturated. It's not just a few listings, it's thousands. Everyone's trying to offload what they bought during the boom. Some are chasing other dreams. Others just can't afford it anymore. And a lot of them, they're bailing out before the next big repair wipes out their savings. And here's the kicker, buyers know it. They've got all the power now. They scroll past your listing, wait for the price to drop, and then offer half of that. It's not personal, it's just supply and demand. And demand? It's dried up like a fuel tank in the sun. What's worse, a lot of folks are still hanging on to inflated asking prices. They remember what they paid 2 years ago and can't face reality. But boats aren't stocks. They don't rebound. The longer it sits, the more it's worth less. Boats age, they rot, and the longer they go unused, the more red flags they raise. I've watched gorgeous vessels, well cared for, priced right, sit untouched while rough old clunkers sell because they're cheap and light enough to trailer. Buyers these days don't want big, complex, and expensive. They want manageable, simpler, smarter. So yeah, no one's buying, and everyone's trying to sell. It's like musical chairs, but with slip fees and survey failures. If you're still trying to offload a boat, the best advice I can give you, get real with the price. Get flexible, and forget the idea that someone's going to fall in love with your boat the way you did. These days, it's all about survival and savings. For a long time, the Liveaboard Dream was the ultimate escape plan. Trade your mortgage for a mooring, ditch the 9 to 5, and wake up to sunrise on the water. It sounded perfect, and for a lucky few, it was. But that dream? It's dying fast. The first blow? Marinas. More and more of them are shutting the door on liveaboards. Not enough space, too much regulation, or just plain profit-driven. A transient slip makes them more money, so they kick out long-term folks or jack the rates sky high. Then there's the cost of living aboard. People think it's cheap, but liveaboards pay for slips, power, water, insurance, internet, dinghy storage. It adds up fast. And if your boat needs work, good luck. Haul-outs aren't free. Parts are harder to find. Mechanics charge luxury rates. Unless you're DIY savvy and tough as nails, living aboard isn't bohemian. It's brutal. Even anchoring out isn't the solution it used to be. In many places it's illegal now, or so restricted that you're forced to move constantly. Some areas are downright hostile to anchorers. The freedom's gone, the water's crowded, the rules have changed. And then there's the human toll, loneliness, bad weather, constant repairs, mold, mildew, and leaks. Watching your boat get battered in a blow while you lie awake wondering if your anchor will hold. That's the real liveaboard life. And it's not for the faint of heart. So yeah, the dream was beautiful. It still is in some places, for some people. But for the rest of us, we're waking up to a harsh new reality. The liveaboard lifestyle didn't die all at once. It just got priced out, regulated out, and burned out. And a lot of good sailors are heading for shore, hearts heavy, bank accounts lighter, and eyes wide open. In a world where everything seems to be getting bigger, louder, and more expensive, the smartest sailors I know are doing the exact opposite. They're going small, and I don't mean downsizing for the sake of it. I mean intentionally choosing simpler boats, fewer systems, and way less financial stress, all in pursuit of something we tend to forget about in the boating world: actual joy. For years, the trend was always to move up. Start with a 25-footer, trade up to a 35, then chase that mythical 40-footer with all the bells and whistles. But here's the reality in 2025. Big boats come with big problems. Everything costs more. Maintenance is constant. Marinas charge by the foot. Insurance companies get nervous, and even a simple haul-out can turn into a logistical nightmare. And all of that? It's before you even leave the dock. I've talked to sailors who spent their weekends fixing broken systems instead of sailing. Water makers, generators, refrigeration, great when they work, a money pit when they don't. And after a few seasons of fighting with their own dream boat, they finally had enough. They sold it, bought a small boat they could manage themselves, and suddenly they were sailing again. Actually sailing, not managing projects or chasing quotes or draining savings, just enjoying the damn water. The new smart move isn't going bigger, it's going small and going often. Pocket cruisers, trailer sailors, and classic 20-something footers are making a quiet comeback. These boats are lighter on the wallet, easier to store, and way more forgiving on your sanity. You can keep one in your driveway, launch it solo, and sail it with nothing but a cooler and a sleeping bag. And for a lot of folks, that's more than enough. They're discovering that adventure doesn't have to come with teak decks and bow thrusters. You don't need a fancy autopilot or electric winches to feel the wind on your face and the freedom of open water. You just need a good hull, decent sails, and the willingness to go. There's also a kind of humility in going small. You learn to pack light, plan smarter, and appreciate the little things. Anchoring in a quiet cove, cooking on a tiny stove, watching the stars from a cockpit barely big enough to stretch your legs, it all hits different when you've stripped away the noise. So yeah, the big boat dream still has its place. If you're voyaging across oceans or living aboard full-time, there's value in space and comfort. But if you're just looking to get out there, to sail for the love of it, and not go broke doing it, smaller is smarter. The smartest sailors I know aren't chasing status, they're chasing sunsets. And they're doing it from boats they can actually afford, maintain, and enjoy. That, to me, sounds like real freedom. So if you're sitting there wondering how to keep the sailing dream alive without drowning in debt or stress, look no further than your local boat ramp. The answer might not be in some massive cruiser with every gadget and gizmo. It might be in that modest little boat you can tow, launch, and sail in a single afternoon. Big boats get all the attention, but small boats are getting all the joy these days. And honestly, that's what it's supposed to be about. Not impressing people at the dock, not chasing status, just wind, water, and time well spent. Thanks for hanging out with me. Whether you're a lifelong sailor or just dreaming from shore, remember, it's not about how big the boat is. It's about how often you use it and how free it makes you feel. Smaller boats, smarter choices, better stories. Until next time, fair winds, calm seas, and may your next boat be exactly as small as you need it to be. Cheers.